Okay, so tonight we are beginning with Hashem a new series, and this is in the context of practical spirituality, Rebbe Nachman's wisdom. We are starting a new series on the topic of Emunah. Okay, and this is, I believe, a timely topic because Pesach is on the way, and Pesach is the holiday of Emunah. So really, this is the time to really focus on this major part of our lives, major part of Judaism, of our Emunah. So the holiday of Pesach was given to us, first and foremostly, for us to have an opportunity to really internalize our Emunah, to really focus on Emunah, to really recharge our Emunah every year. And we see this in a number of, in two places. First of all, we see this in the Hallel. First of all, we see this in the Shema. We say the Pesach in Shema every day. Ani Hashem Elokechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elokim. That Hashem says that I am the Lord your God that took you out of Egypt in order to be your God. Okay, so it seems very clear from the Pesach that Hashem is saying that the reason why He took us out of Egypt is in order for us to have a relationship with Him. Okay, which is really the essence of Emunah. And secondly, we have in the Ten Commandments that when Hashem reveals Himself at Mount Sinai, so He says, "Anochi Hashem Elokecha, asher hotzeicha me'eretz Mitzrayim," that I am the Lord your God that took you out of Egypt. So it's very clear that the way He's in the Ten Commandments, the idea is that He's introducing Himself to us. He's saying, like, "Nice to meet you." This is like He's actually revealing Himself. He's talking to mankind in this way for the first time, and He's saying that, "Hi, my name is Hashem. I am the guy that took you out of Egypt." Okay, so this is like it's very clear that there is a connection between Hashem introducing Himself to us, i.e., Emunah, and the fact that He took us out of Egypt. Okay, so there's a lot of different perspectives that I want to tackle when it comes to talking about Emunah, how this is relevant to our lives. Obviously, we're going to have to speak about what exactly is Emunah, and how to get to Emunah, and like practical tips to Emunah. But first, even before that, so let's try to figure out what could be the deeper meaning behind the connection between Pesach and Emunah. Okay, so meaning that if Hashem is saying that your Emunah needs to have some connection to Yetzias Mitzrayim, has to have some connection to the fact that He took us out of Egypt, has to have to do with the holiday of Pesach. So what is entailed in that? Okay, so one thing that I think that we see from here is that it could be that this is not the most important part, but it's actually a very integral part. That when we talk about what it means to be a Jew, so there's a question that we can ask ourselves: do you believe in miracles? Okay, do you believe in miracles? And this is a very fundamental question that I believe the part of what Hashem is saying, in the fact that He's saying that, Emunah, it all boils down to Yetzias Mitzrayim. It all boils down to the 10 plagues. It all boils down to like everything that we're celebrating is that's the essence of the 10 plagues is that God can do miracles. He can overrun the laws of nature. Okay, and the fact that the Emunah is based on Yetzias Mitzrayim. So one thing that's certainly lying in that statement is that part of Emunah is that I believe in miracles. Now, what does that mean? Like on a deeper level, on a philosophical level. So what does it mean that to believe in miracles, and saying that to be a Jew requires that we believe in miracles? Yeah, it's a good if you're looking for good icebreakers on dates. So, do you believe in miracles? So it's a good.
Speaking Torah, the first thing on the icebreaker on a date.
Yeah. By the way, do you believe in miracles? No. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if I can go out with you anymore. So, as long as you don't say me neither, So it's really that. Why is this such a fundamental thing? Okay, so what's the idea behind miracles? What's the idea behind the concept of a miracle is that what is a miracle? A miracle is that God overrides the laws of nature. Okay, so how can God override the laws of nature? because He created the laws of nature. Okay, so the belief in miracles is really another way of saying that the laws of nature don't just exist, but actually they come from a source. Okay, if they come from a source, if they come from a creator, so of course that's obvious that if the laws of nature were simply a creation, so of course the creator is more powerful than the creation. So of course it's at His leisure to override them, to put them on pause, to whatever He's going to do. So that's a no-brainer. That if the laws of nature were created, so of course, so it's possible that there should be a miracle. Okay, so that's why it's a very it's a hard question because we don't see miracles all the time, and part of this physical world that we're in is it covers God and it covers miracles, and the truth is that it's the fact that we don't see miracles is really another way of not seeing God in the world, and to come to this place of thinking that there is no creator, that it all just is. So this is why it's actually a very simple thing, that if you believe that in a creator, so it's actually a logical necessity to believe in miracles. Right? It's really there is no jump. That if the laws of nature were created, then there is no problem. There is no problem with the fact that that Hashem should make miracles. I remember when I was a kid, we once went to our cousins for the Seder, and one of my cousins, so he was talking about how he read in some paper or whatever, some research document that it actually, there's some research that every 1,000 years, so it's possible that there should be the correct kind of climate conditions, that there should be this wind that could cause the Red Sea to split. Okay, so and he thought that was really cool. He thought that was really cool that it's physically possible to that there should. So only when I was much older did I realize what he was really trying to say. That you'll never believe it. It's actually, there's a slight chance that it actually happened. because miracles, who believes miracles? That's nonsense. That's like you think I'm a dummy. But some random research thing that I read on the internet, that of course I'm going to believe it, because who doesn't believe everything they read on the internet? So it might be that the Torah is actually true, because some random guy found out that according to the laws of nature, so it is possible, and a freak chance. And so I remember like, even as a 10-year-old kid, I asked him like, okay, but it happens once in 1,000 years, right? So how do you explain the fact that it happened the very moment that we came in and they were behind us, and it ended at the very moment that the last Jew came on and it came toppling down on top of the Egyptians? So he says, yeah, that part was we were pretty lucky. That was so this mentality, that the desire to make the miracles, to make them seem natural. So Rebbe Nachman writes in the Kuti Eitzes. So he writes that the desire to when you see a miracle and you try to explain why naturally it actually could make sense, so this comes from a lack of Emunah. Okay, it means in our subconscious, the part of us that is not happy to say Hashem was involved, it worked out. Like the part of us that would like to explain it naturally, so that's the part of us that doesn't really believe in miracles. Okay, so that meaning that we should be aware that when we find ourselves subconsciously trying to explain things naturally, so that's coming from a bad place. Okay.
Does Hashem not use nature to create miracles?
So he does. That's why it's so tricky. And it says this specifically, that the reason why that the truth is that way before this biological research came out, so the truth is that the Sefer Chinuch writes this, and the truth is that the pasuk really says it. The pasuk really says that Hashem made this this northerly wind blowing the entire night. Why do you think Hashem did that the entire night, that there should be this northerly wind? Like, it clearly was a miracle. So why was he doing the entire night? So the Sefer Chinuch says that he did it in order that it should seem as if it's some kind of natural thing.
But is he using nature to do the miracle, or he actually just...
No, the definition of miracle is that going against the laws of nature.
But you can go against it using it.
It's within the realm of nature. Okay, it's within. I mean, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he doesn't. When he turned the Nile River into blood, so that was not going within the laws of nature. I don't think that the Apikorasim found some way to naturally explain how the Nile turned to blood. But on this particular thing, it says that Hashem likes to hide the miracles in order that there should be place for a person not to believe, because Hashem doesn't like to be too obvious. Okay, so the first thing that when we're talking about Emunah, we're talking about like believing in God. So part of believing in God certainly involves believing in miracles, and that's, like I said, is really a natural. It's a very logical deduction that if the laws of nature were created from a creator, so it goes without saying that creator can just put those laws of nature on hold. Okay, but there's another thing as well. And that is that when God took us out of Egypt, so that was really the greatest expression of the fact that God cares about us. Okay, and the Psukim are very clear that around the story of Pesach, that the whole story of taking us out is that he heard our affliction, and he heard our pain, and he heard our prayers, and he felt bad for us, and he says, guys, I care about you. This cannot continue. I'm going to save you. Okay, and so the fact that God took us out of Egypt is really the greatest expression of the fact that there's somebody up there that cares about us. Okay, and so that it's not enough to believe in, when we're talking about what does it mean to have Emunah, so it's not enough to believe in a creator. Part of Emunah requires that creator actually cares about us. Okay, and this is an important step. Okay, there's a lot of people in the world that they do believe that the world comes from some kind of higher intelligent being, and that you have people like Einstein. He openly spoke about God. He said that the more that we figure out about science, the crazier it is to believe that the world could have come about randomly. Okay? That it's how absurd it is to think that the world came about randomly, and that's like you have to be crazy. You have to be crazy not to understand that the world comes from intelligent being. I believe the only logical, like science realizes how unlikely it is that the world will come about randomly. So the only way that they can explain how the world will come about randomly is this thing called string theory, that claims that there's an infinite amount of multiverses coexisting, and one out of infinity worked out perfectly.
It's possible, by the way, if it was created.
I'm not sure what you're saying. I mean, like,
Could it have been created,
we know about one galaxy, right? They're imagining that there's another, not one, not two, but another infinite amount of other galaxies that we never found, we never heard about, and in those places, so all of the evolution didn't work out like it shouldn't, and this is the one out of infinity that it worked out. Okay, if that makes sense to you. There's absolutely no evidence. No. The only reason to invent these multiverses is only if there's no God. There's absolutely no evidence of these other universes, these other galaxies. You understand? We're not. The galaxy is very, very vast. How big the world is very amazing. We're talking about that's one galaxy, and there's another infinite amount of
infinite universes. You mean?
Yeah.
Not universes.
Yeah. Okay. And there's absolutely no evidence for that. And the only reason to make it up is because otherwise, how could it work? Yeah.
My understanding of the string theory is that there are infinite dimensions happening on top of each other simultaneously, and that any possible variation of absolutely anything is happening in those infinite dimensions. So it is not that all of these happen and in one, Earth happened correctly and we happened to happen, but instead, every variation of everything that could have possibly happened.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on string theory, but I do know that there's absolutely no evidence for these, wherever they are. There's absolutely no evidence for their existence, except for the fact, right?
You can't really debunk it. That's why there's no evidence.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so it's certainly
It's a theory, right?
Right?
Yeah, it's a theory. That's why it's a theory.
No, I said there's zero evidence. Not that it's just a theory.
No, but it's a string theory.
Right.
That's why
Okay.
it's a theory. It's a theory.
A theory could also have backing. That over here,
But it's still theoretical. That's why it's a theory,
Sababa.
right?
Right. I'm just saying that my point is that how the only alternative that to believe in a galaxy in a world without God is to invent an infinite amount of possibilities that there's no basis for. Anyway, so that no, you're welcome. It could even it could be that I'm misunderstanding and it's actually true. My point is that science has come to the fact that there is a God. In fact, I saw once an interesting study that the majority of professors in America, the majority of professors of the real sciences believe in God, and the majority of professors in America of liberal arts don't believe in God. Okay?
That's why they liberal arts.
Mm-hmm.
They use this thing to study.
So it's a
I feel it, Todd.
And it's history.
Rabbi, like even if Einstein said that, like there's a philosopher Nietzsche that said that believes in whatever, but he said he's not alive anymore. So what if what Einstein meant is there was a designer and then that designer...
Right, when Nietzsche said that God is dead, he meant precisely this. He meant that God was invented by people to answer the question of where the universe comes from, but now we have better answers. That's what he meant. He was absolutely atheist. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that science at large has come to the conclusion that it's impossible to understand that there's a universe without there being some intelligent being that brought the universe in creation. But that's not enough to be a believing Jew. That's the first aspect of the fact that Emunah is sourced in the Exodus from Egypt, that we believe in miracles, but there's actually another step, and that is that Hashem reveals himself to us as the guy who's taking us out of our troubles, the guy who's saving us from our sorrow, the guy who's taking us out of slavery. Okay? So in other words, that part of our Emunah in Hashem is that he's presenting himself to us as, I care about you. I'm involved in your lives. Okay? And so it's not just like something that happened whatever, 13.7 billion years ago, that he put this world into creation, that it is something that's happening now. And every single moment that God is involved in our lives, and that the definition of Emunah is the consciousness that he is part of our existence.
Part of is you controlling. It's just something.
Part of. I'm not talking about. I'm not getting into the details right now. But like he's involved in my life. That to have a connection with him is part of having Emunah. It's not enough if I say, do you like where did the world come from? The world came from God. But what does that have to do with me? Absolutely nothing. So that's not Emunah. Okay, Emunah requires that it's relevant to my life that there is a God. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about Emunah. We're talking about this is why the introduction to what you call it, the introduction to Emunah is through the holiday of Pesach, and interestingly, so there's a medrash that says that there's a medrash that says, Rebbe Nachman says this as well, that the Geula is dependent on Emunah. that whether or not we're going to be redeemed, one of the
Whether or how?
whether or not, no, not if, I'm saying like when we're going to be redeemed is going to be in the merit of our emunah.
Yeah,
Right.
but there's also the possibility that we don't deserve it, and then it comes.
Right, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that when we are going to be redeemed, if we deserve it, it's going to be with the merit of emunah. Okay, and we see this in Tzitzias Mitzrayim as well. That in the paradigm of Geula, so it started with our emunah, that we believe that Hashem is going to take us out, and then Hashem followed through. Yeah.
Am I not the majority of Jews in the world, or every single Jew?
We'll have to just wait and see.
It's a good question.
But if it's like the year 6000, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
Chas
I
v'shalom.
want to based on my question that I asked before. The reason why I asked it is because I feel it's important to know when you say Hashem is in our everyday lives,
Mm-hmm.
and you say that the Torah is based on Emunah. Well, what Emunah? Emunah, like I believe in Hashem, like created the world. Emunah that I believe, I know. Business, I can work as hard as I want, but if Hashem wants me to have panos, it doesn't matter. But Emunah,
We'll get to it. But this
No,
is
so I want to ask you,
yeah.
what Emunah? Control or just like God?
La'at, shway.
So the answer, the Toby answered.
Yes. Okay,
Listening from the window.
stay tuned. Huh?
Oh.
What?
No, I'm listening from the window.
Oh, okay. I mean, do people here mind?
What?
The smoke?
shul?
The smoke?
No, not
The
in the
sm-
shul.
the smoke here bother people?
I don't care.
Does
Wait,
it-
that-
Not in the shul.
It doesn't bother me.
No, but I wouldn't.
I don't know if the shul would mind.
No, not in the shul.
Yeah.
Outside.
I'm saying it doesn't bother me. If it doesn't bother me,
Why would it bother me
okay,
outside?
it bothers you, right?
It bothers me.
Okay, good.
Outside.
Okay,
I would
Go, go.
prefer
Yeah,
not. I would
okay, yeah, okay, good.
Planning on smoking
Good.
in the shul.
Good. Okay.
Unless you
Yeah,
wanted
that's
to,
what
Rabbi.
I'm saying.
No. I mean, if it's like, it depends what he's smoking, but like,
So you do like the Saba?
Maybe he has extras.
okay. So now, so
This is gonna be on video.
I'm very transparent, guys. So now there's a Gemara. There's a Gemara in Makkas. The Gemara in Makkas Chavdalet. So that it says like, it's a very interesting Gemara. It says that Hashem commanded us 630 mitzvahs, and then David the Melech came and he brought it down to 11 things, and then somebody else, Yeshayahu, came and he put it down to 6 things, and then Micha came and he put it down to 3 things, and then Chavakuk came and he put it down to 1 thing, because it says in Chavakuk, Tzadik be'emunato yichya, that a tzaddik lives through his emunah. Okay, and so in this statement, it's Chavakuk, the Navi, the prophet Chavakuk, was saying that the essence of Judaism is one thing and one thing only, and that is emunah, meaning that this is the thing through which everything else is dependent. So what does that mean? So like Rebbe Nachman writes this as well. It says that emunah is the shorish of kol kedusha, that you can't come to any element of kedusha without emunah. That David Melech writes in Tehillim that it says kol mitzvahs emunah, that like all of your mitzvahs, they're all emunah. And the truth is that life without Judaism, without emunah, is a very dead Judaism. Okay, meaning that any time that I'm doing anything, so any action, that was quick, that any time that I'm doing anything, so the value of what I'm doing is absolutely dependent on my intention. That if when I'm eating matzah, so I think I'm just hungry, so that's not such a holy act, right? If I think I'm connecting with my ancestors, that's maybe a little bit less stupid than just being hungry, but it's still not such a holy act. If I think that I'm I don't know, teaching myself self-discipline by eating such an untasty piece of bread, so maybe it's a little bit, but like that, you're not really getting what you're supposed to be getting out of matzah until you believe that this is an act that is connecting me with God. Okay, it's the difference of night and day. That the difference between a person that's doing a mitzvah simply because somebody told me to, or because that's what everybody else is doing, and a person that's doing a mitzvah with the consciousness that this is an act which is bringing me close to God. So it's a world of difference. So the essence of every mitzvah, the life source of every mitzvah, the thing that gives value to the mitzvah is specifically the emunah, meaning the intention and what I'm doing. So this is really, it brings me to my next point of how critical emunah is in Judaism. And this is as opposed to what I believe is a common theme in Reform Judaism. This I've seen in more than one place, the following statement, that in Christianity, so your beliefs are important. Okay, that's true. In Christianity, your beliefs are important. And then, because in Christianity, there aren't really so many mitzvahs. Like they certainly don't have mitzvahs in the sense that we do. But in Judaism, this is not the truth. This is what the Reform people are saying. In Judaism, it's not about what you think; it's about what you do. We believe in tikkun olam. We believe in doing stuff, making the world into a better place. That you should have a Shabbos ceremony every week, and it doesn't matter if you really believe in Shabbos or don't believe in Shabbos. Just do it. Just do it. Okay, and so they like to put this dichotomy that you have the Christianity that they believe in Emunah, and Judaism believes in mitzvahs. And so it's true that Christianity believes in Emunah, and it's true that Judaism believes in mitzvahs, but that doesn't mean that Judaism doesn't believe in Emunah. And the reason why they say this is because they want to be more embracing, and because they themselves have broken off of one of the fundamental parts of the Emunah of Judaism, and that is that Hashem gave the Torah. Which is one of the greatest differences, one of the most basic differences between Orthodox and Reform Judaism, is the Emunah that the Torah is real, that the Emunah that the Torah is from God. So they know that according to the Orthodox Jews, they're considered heretics. So that's why to save themselves, they said, well, belief system.
Wait, who's a heretic?
A person who doesn't believe that the Torah is from Hashem.
Okay.
So they said, heretic, shmeretic. We're Jews. We believe in doing. Heresy, shmereshi. It doesn't matter what you think. It's about what you do.
I thought a heretic is like somebody that's mastered Torah and still rejects it. Like any secular person today is a baby that's
a different question. I'm saying a heretic is a person that has messed up mentality. And that's the definition of it. If you Google what is a heretic, so that's what it will say. I'm not saying sometimes it's not your fault, sometimes it is your fault. I'm just defining that does Emunah matter? The answer is that yes, Emunah matters. Okay, and this is it so matters that it's the most important thing in Judaism. So that the truth is that we see in halacha as well. We see in halacha as well how important a person's mindset is, a person's belief system is, in an interesting halacha. That there's halacha called a min, mem yud nun. So this is the halachic word for a heretic, and so it says that the person that is a min is a person that is lacking in the 13 principles of faith. Okay, but that doesn't, according to the Rambam. The Rambam has 13 principles of faith. Others disagree with him that it's not all of the 13 are actually so critical. There's another set of critical beliefs, which is only three critical beliefs. But the question is that what beliefs do you need to be considered not a min? Okay, meaning, or the other way, that what are the things that if I go against these beliefs, I'm considered a heretic? And what's the status of a heretic? What's the status of a heretic if it is his fault? So what's the status of a heretic? So the Gemara says that a heretic doesn't have a share in the world to come. Okay, pretty bad. Right? So we're talking about when it's his fault.
So what's an example of it being someone's fault? Like someone that grew up religious? Because I'm thinking about the majority of secular people.
Right, we're not talking about those. We're talking about when it is their fault. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Like how a person could come to such a thing. But yeah, a person that
They don't even go to Gehenna, like nothing.
that's what it sounds. I don't know. I've never been there, but
Are you gonna get to
believe I and her.
or, like,
What?
when
No.
are you gonna-
About which question?
No, when I just asked about who you're applying, like, what do you mean?
Oh no, we're not. We're talking about people. We're talking about people that it is their fault.
Yeah, I
Okay,
just want to know
so,
an example.
Well, just fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. No, just because you brought up religious does not mean it's your fault. And I know plenty of people that had such horrible experiences in the religious system that it would be cruel to call it their fault. Okay, so it's not so simple. It's not so simple. It's not so simple. Okay, and like Baruch Hashem, I'm not God, so it's not my judge. It's not my place to judge them. So Hashem knows if it's their fault or it's not their fault, and we will get soon to a kind of philosophy of how it happens that a person could go off. But whatever it is, if it is their fault and they stop believing in something which is critical, so it says that they have no share in the world to come. Whereas a person that does believe in everything, but they do absolutely nothing. They go against every single avera in the book. Okay, that they have avera collection. I said I was on some chat and somebody mentioned in the. I don't know why they did it, because it was actually a soldier who posted this. It was in the context of the fact that we killed the terrorist. So the picture of the dead terrorist, and so somebody posted that there's a pasuk in Mishnah that says bin fal evecha al tismach, that when your enemies fall, don't rejoice.
That's a hard mitzvah to keep.
So I commented on the chat that my favorite avera. That's my favorite. But really it was a joke, because really what the pasuk is talking about is not non-Jewish enemies. It's talking about Jewish enemies. It's meaning that like you're like when your ex-boyfriend, something bad happens to him, so then you shouldn't chuckle. You should.
How do you know
You should.
that?
What?
How do you know that?
The
Yeah,
Quran is-
Hashem was mad at the Jews when the Egyptians were drowned and they were.
No, he wasn't mad at the Jews. There's something else. But the whole Purim is we're celebrating the fact that our enemies had their downfall. Okay? So it's clear that we're supposed to be very, very happy when our non-Jewish enemies are having their downfall. Anyway, so yeah, I have this I have this girl that actually I actually tried to bring her to Neve. It didn't work out at the end, but like I invested a lot of time in her, and apparently she didn't find her niche in Judaism, so she found her niche in anti-Zionism, and so she's constantly stopped the genocide, and she's constantly
Do you still talk to
posting.
her?
No, unfortunately, and she's constantly like posting things about all the bad things that Israel is doing, and I actually like watching her posts, because like it makes me happy to see it. Like what? Like,
Why would it make you happy? Does she have an Arab boyfriend? Like, what's the deal?
Anyway, so
What? I'm so confused.
so okay, I'll tell you after. So
You get a lot of attention when you do those things.
what?
You get a lot of attention and
Yeah, no, for sure. Anyway, so it says you can do every avera in the book. You can do every avera book. You can have an avera collection, and like, okay, which avera do we do this day? You could do every day of the week. You could say, okay, let's do another avera. And the person that spends their entire life doing averas the entire day, so they still have a share on the road to come. Okay, what?
Never mind.
They do everything wrong. But if your belief system is in the right place, so then you'll be punished for everything that you do wrong, but you still have a share in the world to come. Whereas if your belief system is not in the right place, then that's even worse. Okay, meaning that it's more critical to have a correct belief system than it is to have a correct way of life.
What about
Now-
every word where it says your soul will be cut off? Then what does that mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of different interpretations. What does that mean? Okay, it's unlikely that it means that you have no share in the world to come, because there's a different list of people that have no share in the world to come. So the point is that your belief system is who you are. It's what you are. You are your reality is your belief system. Okay, and that's why Emunah is so critical. Like that, when we're talking about building our Emunah, we are creating our reality. We exist within our Emunah. Okay, there's a in the world of manifestation, you've heard of the laws of attraction kind of things. So Rebbe Nachman has a paragraph in Sichos Haran, in Sichos Samach Bet, where he talks clearly about manifestation. The person thinks about something, that it creates a reality. But there's a mistake in the understanding of manifestation, and that is that thoughts create reality, because it's really not so simple. It's not just thoughts. That you can thinking things doesn't actually create reality. What really creates reality is belief. Okay? And it's really not the same thing. And it's really coming from a different place. That I could think something from today to tomorrow, and it's not going to make a difference, but my belief system is my reality. I experience life, and life experiences me through my belief system. Okay? So when we're talking about Emunah, we're not talking about my thoughts, we're talking about my belief system, we're talking about my reality, and that's why that what am I? I am my belief system. Okay? So that's much more critical in saying who am I? If you want to know who you are, so you're not your decisions. You're not who you... a person could make decisions which don't really represent who they really are. But everything represents your belief system. That is what you are. Okay? So that's why the Emunah is actually even more critical than your actions.
So
Yeah.
your belief system has no correlation with your actions?
It'll somehow affect it, but my point is that who you are is your belief system much more than it is what you do.
But I think your belief system is totally connected with your actions. So
It will affect, but it's not totally connected. Do you ever do something that you don't believe was the right thing to do?
okay, yes, but okay, I understand.
But who you are to other people depends pretty much solely on your actions.
That's a mistake. The Alter of Nevadek would say that don't judge a person based on if they do good things or not do good things. Judge a person based on what they consider good, what they consider bad. Because you can have a person that happens to do good things, but they don't believe in those things.
Or it's an ulterior motive.
Right. Really, what they believe in is financial success, and just the only way to get financial success is the people should look up to them. And the only way people look up to them is if they do philanthropic thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's much more complicated than your intentions. But I'm saying that my belief system is my core beliefs defines who I am much more than my actions. Yeah.
The values.
Yeah. You can say your values is part of your belief system. Yeah.
I think the risk of this is if someone claims to believe in a specific value, but then doesn't respect the value, it's something I think is very common in Western world, because Christianity is based on an ideal world, and we cannot reach that world or whatever. If you do something, then that becomes your value. But if you don't do something, just say that's my value, is something that's actually important.
I'll tell you something. People do things as well that are against their values. So it doesn't, and then they feel bad. It's okay to do something, and there's a danger in doing something that I'm embarrassed about, and then because I don't like to feel embarrassed, so I change my values. So I change and we're going to get to that as well. Okay, we're going to that. But really, when I do something, it doesn't have to represent my values. Okay, so this is why this is so important. This is why this is such a major topic in Judaism. This is why perhaps the most important topic in Judaism is our Emunah, is our belief system. This is what we are. Okay, that the essence of who we are is our Emunah. Okay, so that's why to delve into Emunah is perhaps the most important discussion that we could ever have. Okay, so So the first thing, and this is all we're going to get to today, that I want to speak about is that everything in Emunah, all of the beliefs that the Torah wants from us, that the truth is that it's not so difficult because they are actually ingrained in us. Okay, that Chazal the Chazal talk about the Jewish people as ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim, that we are believers, the children of believers. What do they mean, the children of believers? They mean that it's in our DNA, meaning that there's something in our biological structure that we have a connection to God, and that's why it's natural. Okay, and everything that we're doing in Emunah, so there should not and cannot be anything that is going against what our better judgment, but rather that everything in Emunah should be natural. It should come and it should feel like, yes, like what was I thinking, and it's really it's there. It's there. It could be dormant, but it's really, really always there. Okay. There's this is the concept in Chassidus, that in Chassidus they call the Pintel Yid, that the spark of a Jew, that sometimes there's a certain spark in a person's Jewish soul that cannot be extinguished. Okay, and even in the most darkest places, in the person that you think is the most disconnected, but he also has a spark, and it just hasn't yet been able to express itself yet. Okay, the Baal Tanya writes about this. The Baal Tanya, I find it interesting that we said that who's the one who said that the most important thing in Judaism is Emunah? Chavakuk, right? Chavakuk, there was one of the Navis, one of the prophets. So what's funny is that there's a spiritual movement today for the past 20 years or so, that they're like general Chassidus and spirituality. So they sometimes call themselves Chavakuk. That Chavakuk stands for Chabad Breslov Kuk. Okay. So it's like because those are the people that talk about Emunah. The people that talk about Emunah in the world are Chabad Breslov Kuk. It's Rav Kuk. So it's like I find it actually very fascinating that the one who said that the most important thing in the world is Emunah, that's Chavakuk, and those people that are included in Chavakuk, those are the people that speak about Emunah the most. Okay, so in Chabad, the Baal Tanya writes that the truth is that every Jew has deep in his soul such a deep connection, such a deep conviction that they would give up their life for their Emunah. And when push comes to shove, even the people that on the outside seem like they're disconnected, but if you would put a gun to their head, then suddenly they would sober up. Okay, so he writes this. I don't know if he was basing this on any historical evidence. I'm sure there were stories like this in the Spanish Inquisition, but I know that there were crazy stories from eyewitnesses in the Holocaust. That one particular story that sticks in my mind is that one day they came into one of the concentration camps. I think it was Buchenwald, and they brought a tremendous amount of bread, and they said, "You disgusting Jews! Today's Yom Kippur. Today you can fress. You can fress. How do you say Jidden? Fresh Jidden. And so that there was one Yid there, that one of the inmates, that everybody knew him, that he was a member of the Bund. Okay, the Bund was the anti-religious council in Germany. And what? There was a Yid in Buchenwald that he was a member of the Bund. Okay, and this man, they were the most they were as secular as they could be. This man had never fasted Yom Kippur in his entire life. Okay, and he stood up and he said and he said, no, today's Yom Kippur, I'm not going to eat. So the Nazi put out a gun, and he said, I said, today you're going to fress. Eat, you dirty Jew. And he said, no, today's Yom Kippur. I'm not going to eat. And he shot him. And this is unreal. Where did this come from? He actually never fasted. He was I don't know how old, 35 years old. He had 35 times he had not cared that it would have been very easy for him to fast for the first 34 years of his life, and it never made a difference to him. And suddenly, there's a Nazi putting a gun to his head, and he's saying, no, my Judaism is so important to me that I would rather die a Jew than give up my Yom Kippur. And this is what the Baal HaTanya is literally talking about. That there is this nekuda, there is this point in the essence of a yid that when sometimes it's so dormant, it's just so deep sleeping that it needs to be woken up by a gun. But when you wake it up, it's there. Okay, it's really inside of us.
Even a kafir, like all Jews.
He was the biggest. He was the biggest kafir. He was the biggest atheist. He was constantly making fun of religion his entire life. But now, when the gun came to his head, so then he came to his senses. Okay?
Even Yoshki, like literally anybody, like the Alter Rebbe would say, like any Jew. Like. Yeah. So there's another story. There's another story that I read that about this woman that I read this in the book about intermarriage. That this woman that her Judaism meant nothing to her, and she was born Jewish, but like she didn't care about the fact that she was Jewish, and she married some Christian that also didn't care about the fact that he's Christian, and like they were on the same page that they were completely secular. They couldn't care less about Judaism, and so they got married, and then she got pregnant, and then she had a baby, Mazel Tov, and she reports that the first time that she looked at her daughter, so she swore to her daughter that I swear I'm going to raise you as a Jew. And she doesn't know where this comes from. It's it was this place inside of her that was completely dormant, and just like Baruch Hashem, there's nicer things than guns that can wake a person up, and that this having this reality check that, oh my gosh, that like life is real. I have a person here. I have a creation here that I need to give them the essence of who I am, and that reminds her of who she really is. That reminded her that she's really a Jew. There was a soldier. This I heard from somebody who heard from a teacher in Aish, that there's like a new guy came to Aish, and so this rabbi asked him, like, what's your story? So he says that this was a long time ago. It was many years ago. It was during the first war with Lebanon in Israel. So this person, he was in the American Army, and he was trying to move his way up. He was in West Point, and he was trying to become like a higher officer, and so they were putting him in like wherever they were, like here in the Middle East, like during this war, and so they were in class, and they were getting instructions, and he said if anybody goes into this area, this is like a no man's zone, and nobody's supposed to be here. And if anybody gets here, like it doesn't matter if he's an Israeli, if he's an Arab, you need to shoot. And the soldier said that I'm sorry, but if it's an Israeli, I cannot shoot. I'm a Jew. So the commander said, I'll pretend I didn't hear that, and just kept on going. And he said, no, Commander, I need you to know that if it's a Jew, I'm not going to shoot, because I'm a Jew. And so he was court-martialed, and he was put into jail, and it was like he lost his that was the end. That was the end of his career. That was the end of his military career, and like there was a whole thing, like he was going to be like a senator of New York had to get involved, that he should be able to have an honorable discharge, because they really wanted to give him an unhonorable discharge. And they're like, was he an American citizen?
American, yeah. They were talking about the American army. And
I thought you were talking about Israel.
so no, in America,
Sorry.
the Israeli army would not tell you to shoot Jews. So, so he came home after he was honorably discharged, and he started packing his bags. And his mother asked him, "Where are you going?" So he says, "I'm going to Israel." So his mother said, "Why are you going to Israel?" He says, "Because I don't know where on earth this came from. I don't know why I felt the sudden need to say that, not just first of all to believe it. I don't know where this came from, this belief that I cannot kill another Jew, but the need to stand up for my Judaism and say in front of everybody at the expense of my losing my career, that I don't know where this came from. So I want to go to Jerusalem to learn about what in the world I just did." And now he's living in Mea Shearim with 15 kids. No, I'm just kidding. So this is like this. There's different kind of wake-up calls. But the Baal HaTanya writes that every single Jew has this place inside of it that Emunah is inborn. Yeah.
I feel like life, death, and marriage, like having children, like having a life-threatening experience and getting married are like huge life-altering moments that really make you introspective about your Judaism. Yeah, I was just having a conversation.
Totally.
With my friend about that. It was like crazy. She's like really questioning her faith a lot right now, but she's like super pregnant. She's like about to like have a baby like this week. She's like, how am I gonna raise my baby? Like da da da. So it's just like a beautiful thing to like see her like learning so much about herself.
To tell her the story. Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
So now Rebbe Nachman has a story. This is not a real story. He has a teaching, and this is what. So I mentioned this before. That he also talks about how our Emunah is really inborn. It's really that we don't need to discover our Emunah. We need to just reveal our Emunah, because it's really there. Okay. And he has an interesting take on this. He starts with a question. He says, where does atheism come from? Rhetorical question.
Cynicism?
So,
Despair.
where does atheism come from?
The
It was a rhetorical question. So that everybody that it's so simple to believe in God. Like when we're saying it's natural. I mean, like a kid will naturally believe in God. There's kids that believe it, even though the parents never told them about it. Kids will naturally have this. I'm talking to God. It's a natural thing, that it's the way that we are. So where does it come from? So Rebbe Nachman says it's very simple where it comes from. There's different approaches. But Rebbe Nachman has his approach, and that is that everybody naturally they want to enjoy life. So they know that if I believe in God, so then I need to have a moral system. So then I can't do whatever I want, and I'm sometimes going to have to not do the things I want to do. So that's a bummer, because I want to do everything I want to do. So how do I do everything I want to do? Like, my conscience is bothering me every time I want to do everything I want to do. So Rebbe Nachman says that that's where a person gets this amazing idea that simple. If there's no God, I don't have to feel conscience. Perfect, problem solved. Okay, so he wakes up the next day and says, guys, that you'll never believe it. There's no God. So I can do whatever I want. I can cheat my friends. I can hang out with whoever. I can cheat on my girlfriend. I can cheat on everything. I don't have to be nice. That there's no God. It's all good. So that's because he wants to just enjoy himself and just live a carefree life. So that's where his atheism comes from. The problem is that he knows deep down that it's a lie. He knows deep down that really there is a God. I'm convincing myself that there's no God because I want to have an easy life. I want to enjoy myself. So there's a deeper voice that says, okay, come on, but you know that it's not true. You know you're just convincing yourself. So what do you do then? So then Rebbe Nachman says, then he shuts up that voice. And at that point he comes to a deeper level of kfirah, a deeper level of atheism. And because even that there was a softer voice that said, but come on, you know you're just lying to yourself. So he shuts that actively. He shuts up that voice. And then he comes to a deeper level of heresy. But then the problem is that there's an even softer voice that says, oh, come on, but you know that the whole reason why you shut up that voice that said that, oh, come on, you're just shutting yourself up. But the only reason why you shut up that voice is because really you just want to enjoy yourself. So what do you do then? So then he shuts up that voice. And then at that point he gets to an deeper level of heresy. And so then at that point, so an even softer voice comes up and says, yeah, but even shutting up that voice, but you know that you were just doing that because you wanted to enjoy it, and so on and so forth. He says that there's thousands of different levels of kafira, levels of atheism that a person can constantly shut. But the thing is that every time, because there's so many levels, so then there's always this softer voice that always comes back, and he says that only once in history was there a person that was actually able to get to the bottom of the bottom, to get to the last voice, the last level of Emunah that was trying to break through, trying to convince him that, come on, but you know that it's really a mistake, you know that it's really, you're just fooling yourself. And only once was he able to shut up that final expression of Emunah in his soul, and at that moment, he died.
Is this in the Talmud?
And then he saw the truth. Okay, so it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story that meaning that Rebbe Nachman is saying the story that a person, a Jew cannot. It's completely impossible for a Jew to disconnect himself from Emunah. It's simply a part of him. And if you think you're going to disconnect yourself from Emunah, so then it's not going to work, because at that moment you're going to die, and at that moment you're going to see the truth, and you're going to be, and then you'll be connected with Hashem. Then there's going to be no room for kfirah. There's going to be no room for denying. Then it's going to be very, very, very clear. So meaning that it's completely impossible for a Jew to disconnect from his Emunah. Either it's going to be from this soft voices inside of you that you know that it's the truth, or you're going to see the real thing. Yeah.
Is it also like the same for a non-Jew?
I don't know.
Nah,
He's-
they don't have the same type.
He's telling what?
They don't have that same type.
You don't- I don't-
That's
like,
the
we're-
intelligent thing you
Right.
speak
We're talking about Pintaliyah. I believe it's only.
But is
I
it
think-
fueled by guilt? Like everything in Judaism.
That's a good question.
Is it guilt? Is it more than anything? Is it like more about knowing you're doing wrong because it's ingrained into us that it could be wrong? More than actually wanting to
I don't
let you
like.
know the truth.
I don't like the word guilt. I don't believe that guilt is a Jewish thing. I know that.
Ingrained probably for all of us.
Right. I know that there's this term called Jewish guilt. I think that guilt is a non-Jewish thing. There's something called the shame. Shame is a good thing. Shame. In Judaism, it says that it's a Jewish trait to have busha. Busha means to be shamed. Like to busha. Yeah, baishanim. It says we're baishanim, rachmanim, and gomlei chasidim. And so to have shame means that if your mother ever told you, "Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" So that's a good thing. To have shame is a good thing, meaning that when you do something wrong and you know that I should be better, this doesn't really befit me. That's called shame. That's a good thing, because that propels you forward.
Guilt is really,
Guilt
is more like
guilt
based
is
on
a-
her, no?
Guilt is a negative thing. Guilt wants to makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't propel you forward. It just wants you to, like, when you feel guilty, you like to escape.
Well,
Okay.
shame causes introspection. Like I feel bad about what I did.
Mhm.
I know a million other areas to do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad about it. Like now I introspect. What can I do?
Right. Shame means that
Guilt
I know that I'm really better. So that's really what we're saying. That what is the source over here? What's propelling me over here? My Emunah, my ingrained Emunah that's in my DNA that knows that I really deserve better than this. That really I could be living a higher level life than this. And that is what's propelling me forward. That's what I'm feeling, this dissonance with what I truly am and what I'm doing. And that is my Emunah, which is actually propelling me forward. Okay, so this is So this is the first thing that we need to know about Emunah, is that it's something very, very natural, that we're actually connecting to who we truly are. And that is why, what did Habakkuk say? He said, Tzadik be'amunato yichyeh. The tzaddik, through his emunah, he lives. What does it mean to live? What does it mean to be alive? To be alive means that you're actually being yourself. Okay, it's actually that to live a high conscious life. Okay, to be like when we're just sleep living, so we're not really alive. Okay, if we're just going with the flow, we're just following the rat race that what everybody else is telling us to do. So we're not really living. The more emunah you have, the more alive you are. Okay, the more you're going to feel that yes, labiyut. The more you're going to feel that yes, this is really me. This is really what I was looking for. This is what I was meant to be, and it just feels right. Okay, so that's why everything in emunah is going to really just be helping us to be ourselves. All right, l'chaim, to be continued.